With that, I'll introduce Kay Larson-Hayes. She is with our Page Up system, and she is helping us with these trainings and implementation. And so she'll walk us through today's training. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Kay.
Thank you very much. So it's so great to be with you this afternoon. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to go through this training. I think you're going to find it very easy, very nice to be able to use. Your HR team has done a great job of actually putting all of the steps together. For you guys, we do have basically maintenance, ground, service, and custodial. So those all of those reviews, except for the maintenance one, a little bit are pretty much the same. So I'm just going to grab one out of that group of 4 and actually walk through it. From the maintenance perspective, we'll try and point out things that will be just a little bit different. But other than that, it all should be pretty similar. I'm going to walk through the whole process so that you as a supervisor understand not only what your responsibilities will be, but also what your employees will do, because I am sure they're probably going to come to you in many cases for assistance. So this is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the process overview, how you're going to log into the performance management system once you're in, how you navigate, and then last but not least, completing your actions. How are you going to access it? So from a supervisor and an employee perspective, you will all be able to enter the same place. I think it's probably going to be most easiest if you'll go to the Human Resources website and click on the Performance Evaluation Plan. This information, this slide deck will also be available along with some other training materials for you. So whatever happens to be easier for you, you have multiple choices here. So Performance Evaluation Plan will basically bring you to this. This is the new GVSU Performance Employee Portal. Or should I say the Employee Performance Portal. There are a few other items here that you can also do if you are a supervisor. From a recruitment perspective, you can also enter the site this way, but generally, let's continue to use the way you've been doing business. That way you won't change anything. So when you see this, employees and supervisors basically both have the same, pretty much the same permission within the system. So you'll all come to the same screen. Employees will use My Performance Review. Supervisors will also use My Performance Review because you are an employee and you are. So you will have a review of your own. And then you will also use the Team Performance Review area to locate your employees. So there's an area up here at the top called About Me. That really focuses on the employee side of the house. So if you're an employee, you'll have a couple of things here. We'll look at that. And then My Team is on the supervisor. So what I'm trying to do on this slide is to actually show you that you have 3 review processes that use exactly the same steps. So in this one, for your custodial, your grounds, or your service folks, they will all use this 6 steps. Really, in actuality, there are only 5 steps because the last one is an automated step. If you are from a maintenance side of the house, then your employees are going to have 7 steps. So the difference is that they will identify any goals, and then you as the supervisor are going to review those goals. It's a little bit different for the custodial, grounds, and service folks. And I know the team, the HR team at GVSU has already met with most of your leadership to, kind of go over this ahead of time. So maybe you were part of that process. But just so that you understand, we're going to really look at this one today, but you'll see very similar things when for the maintenance side of the house. So step 1, basically, employees are going to review. We have a question.
Okay, we can discuss this, but Rents, I would like you to weigh in on this. Did we discuss that there would be, they would enter their distinct job responsibilities, but that we would not have them enter goals? Rents, can you weigh in on that?
Can I weigh in on that later?
No, sorry. The computer's on the other side of the room, so I had to get to the mic. Yeah, that's what we had discussed. That was the plan. I guess it's open for discussion if others thought it might need to be different.
Okay, so I just wanted to just talk about that. So let's leave that on the table to talk about real quick before we can, before we go with the next group. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, Kay, you can move forward.
Thank you. Okay, so in this case, all of your employees, when the reviews are actually launched by HR, they're all going to receive an email. However they get their emails, whether they get it on the phone or there's a way that they log in on the campus process, they are going to get a notification. They're going to go to that HR website or wherever they have. There will also be a link in that email, so it will make it a lot easier for employees to be able to click on that link, and then basically they're going to log in with their single sign-on, the sign-on that they already have for all of the other parts of the system at GVSU. And they're going to see this. They're going to see a new button. So whether it's grounds, custodial, or service, or even maintenance, they will see this new button. This will be the current step for them, and they'll simply click on the title. That will actually take them to their review. Once they do that, then these are the tabs that will appear for them. There's also a set of start page instructions here. So this will be the first start page instruction, and it will tell them when this item, whoops, excuse me, my finger got ahead of myself here. It will tell them when the actual item is due. So this is your deadline to finalize your goals on this one. Not necessarily sure. So Natalie, let's make a note. We might need to change that start page for this one. And then then they'll just simply click next and they'll be able to move through. The first section is the job knowledge for them. So they'll be able to review the job knowledge items. They have been preloaded. So I think that in meeting with the team, they will notice that these items for whether custodial, service, or grounds, those items have actually been preloaded. There is a link here to the performance management toolkit. The team has put together, the HR team has put together a very nice performance management toolkit so that will be available to both employees and supervisors to be able to, look up things or just check it out if they want to be able to do that. Section 2 for them will in fact be university competencies. So everybody in the university is getting getting rated on the same competencies. So they will just see these. These are basically reference items so that your employee will understand what they are going to be rated on. They do have the ability to add a professional development item. I will make note down here that initially they will only see the add professional development item, but next year when they come in, and we have a lot of different reviews going on in our system, so next year when they come in, they will be able to add either a new item or be able to look back at something that they added on a previous review, and they may want to revisit it. Maybe they didn't get an opportunity to complete it last year and they want to work on it this year. Once they click on that add button, they will be prompted with a title and a description. As you will see, the title has a little asterisk. That means that the item is in fact required. Okay. So, and then they can enter whatever that professional development item is here. The instructions above basically tell them exactly what they want them to do here. They also have the ability to upload a supporting document. So when we actually get to this area in the actual system, you will be able to see that as well. Then they have the final tab is the overall rating. So in the early part of the review, there will be no action. This tab will actually only be available to supervisors very shortly. But they do see it because of the way our system is designed. Basically, everybody sees all the tabs within the form. Step number 2 is yours. So as the supervisor, you will be prompted. You will get an email. Again, you will also have a link to the performance site on there as well. When you log in with your single sign-on, then you will come to team performance. This is what it will look like for you. You will see your employees' names. You will simply click on the drop-down arrow and the title of the review will come available. You will just click on the title and it will take you into the review. Supervisors will be able to rate on job knowledge and responsibilities as well as university competencies and provide the overall rating. You as a supervisor will be able to make comments in all of the areas. So it will look like this for you. This is the job responsibilities area for the grounds folks. So landscape maintenance, you will be able to rate them. Natalie will talk about ratings in just a minute. And you will also be able to add a comment. This is the university competencies. So same thing, you can see what it looks like when you actually do add a rating, the little yellow stars, so very similar to a radio button. If you were selecting that or checking a box, this would what it would look like. And then you would be able to add comments to that area as well. I'm going to turn it over to Natalie to talk about the new rating scale.
Great, thanks, Kay. So with the new system, we'll have a new rating scale that'll go rolled out. There are 4 different categories here: exceeding, succeeding, developing, and needs improvement. Majority of folks should be falling in the succeeding or developing categories. And then kind of the other ends of the spectrum, exceeding should be for those folks that are truly really going above and beyond the role expectations and are, you know, your star performers. And then needs improvement is going to be that other end of the scale where they're needing to develop more. Maybe they need some additional tools or resources or things to be able to improve. So we will want to see most folks hopefully falling in the succeeding and developing ranges. And developing could be things like a new employee who's just started in their role and just hasn't had very much time to be able to successfully perform all the duties of the position, or is still learning many aspects of the role. Or it could be somebody that's been in a role for a while, but maybe it's a new aspect of their position that they hadn't performed before. If they're in a new area and taking on some new duties, those types of things are where we'd see developing. And then most folks should be meeting the expectations and succeeding in their role. And then really those other 2 ends are for, you know, either end of the spectrum, but we want to see most folks falling in that succeeding and developing range. And so those are our new rating scales. We will have on our toolkit site the detailed descriptions along with these ratings so that you have a detailed reference when you're moving through the system as well. With that, I'll turn it back over to Kay.
Thanks, Natalie. So once you have completed all of the ratings, then step 3 belongs to you as the supervisor as well. So basically this is, so you'll click on the go to next step, and you will see that your next step is the supervisor employee discussion. At this point in time, this is where you're going to probably log out of the system because you're going to need to schedule a meeting with your employee to actually go over their review. And you will have the opportunity to be able to log back in when I actually get into the system. There's a couple of different ways that we normally recommend for supervisors. If you want to review it with the employee, you will have the ability to actually print out a copy if you need to. A lot of supervisors just simply share their computer screen and go over it. So again, whatever is most convenient for you, there are a couple of options available. During this period of time, there is nothing that is edited or can be edited during the review discussion. And then once you're done with that, I do believe you have the opportunity to make final comments or add comments to this point in time. And once you have completed this, then you will have your employees will have the opportunity to actually go back into the system and acknowledge their review. That is the 4th step. So you can see we're coming close to the end. So they basically will do the same process. They'll get that email, they will log in, they'll go to their performance review. They can review the evaluation and they can also add their final comments. Those comments can be made on the final tab, the next step tab. So again, you will see that they'll log in, they'll click on the title, that'll bring them to their evaluation. And then simply, there is nothing that they can change. So they cannot change their ratings, they cannot change any of the other comments that have been added. And they do have the opportunity to see your final comments if you added any final comments, and they can make a final comment themselves. Now we'll look at all of this in the actual system itself, so you don't have to worry. Again, just kind of giving you a high level view of everything. And then you will have the final step just about, which will be the supervisor reviews. And this gives you the opportunity as the manager to actually come back in and just look at the employee, any of the employee comments. Now, I will note here that you as a supervisor will need to complete this final step. A lot of people say, okay, I don't really care, well, you know, or I don't have time to look at the final comments. You will need to come in or the review will never be completed. So it is important that you as supervisors do take a couple of minutes and actually come back into the system and mark that task. Your next task will be for you to move it to the status of evaluation complete. Okay. Once the review is in the evaluation complete, all of those nice little tabs that you saw on the form, those section tabs will disappear and the document will be completely viewable in a form style or in a letter style. This is the employee, if they want to, and very important because I'm sure at this point in time, a lot of your employees will want to, you know, see their final copy of their review. They can log in at any point in time. They will have access to log into the employee performance portal. They can go to About Me this time and click on Performance Reviews. Once they do that, they will change that status. They will see a screen that looks similar to this, and they can either change it to complete or all. Generally, they're going to want to look at completed reviews and click search. Once they do that, they will click on I want to view the report, and they will then be able to see their review in a document form. If you as a supervisor want to do that, you will basically do the same steps. You'll log in, but this time you're going to go to My Team, Performance Reviews. So you will see an organizational chart, your team details, and performance reviews. So you will want to click on Performance Reviews. Your screen will look similar to what the employee gets, but you'll have a little more information. And you will come over here to where it says Status, and you will click on Complete. Now you can do all as well, but once you have like a couple of years worth of evaluations out there, you are probably only going to want to look at the specific area. So you can click on Complete and the search button as well. And then you will have the ability to see this. So you will see the employee's name and then view their report. So their evaluations will always be in the system from this point going forward. You can look back at a previous year if you want to. They will not have any previous reviews from the past that are not in the PageUp system, but going forward, all your reviews for your employees will be there. Okay, so let me jump out of this and let me come into the actual system itself. Oops, let's get rid of that. So I'm going to use a couple of fake employees here. So I have my employee Sally and my supervisor Charlie. So we don't have any real people's names to be affected. And so we're going to come in as your employee. So when your employee logs in for the first time, let me blow up my screen here. When your employee logs in for the first time, this is what they're going to see. So I said on that initial slide, your employees are going to focus on my performance reviews. But let's just kind of look at the whole scale so you as a supervisor understand what's in here for the system. So they have salary, they have journal entries. Generally speaking, I don't suspect that many of your folks are going to be coming in here and making too many other entries, maybe your maintenance folks. A journal entry is simply a note that if they want to put a note about something they've completed, then by all means they can do that and they can add it. They will be able to, generally speaking, it's going to be something that you want to use potentially on your employees, because since they're not rating themselves, they won't have an opportunity to actually add those notes. So they will have a journal and performance. We can't shut it off because it is a major feature. So generally, I would say to the groups in the grounds, services and custodians, that they probably just want to focus on my performance review and go ahead and click on. So there's a little bit of instruction here, and they can simply click on next. They've already been met, so their job responsibilities have already been added. So this is so we are talking about our grounds folks here. So this would appear exactly the same for your custodial as well as service. I do believe it looks exactly the same for your maintenance, except your maintenance folks will have, I believe, and Natalie, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I believe the maintenance folks will have the ability to add a job knowledge item. Okay. So they'll have a little add button, but other than that, it will look pretty much the same for them as well. So pretty straightforward in regards to that. So again, these are just giving those folks the opportunity to see the items that they are going to be rated on. Here is the link to the performance toolbox. And so they will just simply click on next. Here are the university competencies that everybody is going to be rated on. So there's some instructional text up here for the employees with regards to that. And then they would also, so they'll just move through. So it's important that our employees understand all of the items that they are going to be rated on. They do have the ability to add a professional development item. And the HR team has done a really nice job at outlining how they can actually move through that. So they can simply just click on add performance development. And this is what it shows on my screen, my slide deck. So they will add a new performance development item, and they will be brought to this screen where they will be able to add a title. And I know that some of them will be in our training next time. So they'll attend performance training. They do have the ability to attach or upload a document. So if they get a certificate or had a certificate or something from completion of a course, then they would be able to upload it. You'll also notice, I'm just going to start typing here, that when you're typing, this little button at the top of the screen called saving will automatically appear. So every time you start to enter something in the boxes, the system will automatically, or delete something, the system will automatically save it for you. I think that is a huge feature, especially when we're working on performance reviews. Sometimes we get called away to do something else. So they will have that ability. They will come pretty much to the end. And again, you all share the same tab, so that's why they're seeing this. But you will be the only ones that will be rating them. When they come to the very end, then they will be able to see all of the items that they are going to be rated against. And they will simply click on go to next step. they will see that the next step is that you as the supervisor are going to complete this evaluation. So we will go to next step and it will move and they will see that. In the previous session, folks asked about the timeline and can we see when things are due? Yes, if you hover over these little buttons, you will actually see when the due date for each one of these items is. All right, so let's jump out of our employee here. You clearly will not have to worry about doing this. And now I'm going to come back in as Charlie, my manager of this employee. And now we'll see what the system is going to look like for you as the supervisor. So again, you're going to have the same similar top bar. Your name's going to appear here, ability to make journal entries. My team, so you're going to see the organizational chart, your team details, and performance reviews. We'll come back to that in a later date. You will also have the ability to complete your own review. So you will also probably see your review because it will be initiated at the same time as your employees are. So you will be able to, from the same screen, complete your review as well as your employees. You also have journal and performance reviews here. So we're going to stick with Sally. We're going to click the down button here and we'll see that it's supervisor completes the evaluation. You'll click on next. Okay, and so this is where you as the supervisor are going to come in. You see that there is now some comments and things like that, Natalie, will you please make a note? We need to address this a little bit. And so basically you will now be able to rate. So the ratings that Natalie discussed have been incorporated into this system. So you will see here's needs improvement, developing, succeeding, and exceeding. So again, you're simply like a radial button or a checkbox or something like that. You will simply mark, you will rate the employee based on how you feel they have done with that particular task. You have the ability to add a comment. So to add a comment, you have the ability to save and share. So that will make it public. That means that anybody will be able to view that. You have the ability to make it save as private. If you do that, it will come up as a draft comment. Right? It's only visible to you, the supervisor. You will notice over here there are 3 dots. You can click on those 3 dots. You have the ability to edit. So if you wanted to change something on it, you could. You have the ability to delete it. So I think, oh, I've changed my mind completely. I don't want to put that comment in there at all. Or you have the ability to publish it. Once you publish it, it will then move it into the save and shared mode, and it will then be viewable. You also have the ability to continue to edit your comments until which point in time is that you are done and you're ready to move this on to the next step. So you can literally at this point just log out and leave the review right where it is. So we're going to go down through real quickly here. Comments are optional, but obviously always encouraged, especially if the individual needs to improve on something. Snow review removal, and then okay, so once you're done that, you're just going to simply click on next. And now you are able to rate them with regards to their university competencies. Same things here. You can add a comment. It will show up on their review with your name above it. So this happens to be the name of my supervisor. So it will always identify who has made that comment. So So you'll just continue to go down through, clearly taking more time than I am to do this on an employee because you will be impacting their performance. And then you'll click on next. You also have the ability to comment or to make a comment on their professional development. So and you can say that. So pretty easy stuff. And then last but not least, you will have the overall rating. So you can see that it's very easy to actually move through, and you have those areas. So we'll say that this employee is succeeding. You'll notice there's my saving button, and we can I remember being an employee and when I was working at the university and thinking that the most important thing for me was the comments that my supervisor made. So I just like to read the comments. I didn't care what they gave me for a rating. Okay, and then finally the next step. So you will reach that last tab. And you will notice here that you have seen that now there's the employee. They have not made any comments, but you have the ability to make comments at this point in time. So and then you will simply click go to next step. This next step belongs to you as well. So it's your opportunity. This is where you will come out of the system generally because now you're going to want to schedule that time for that employee to come in and meet with you and go over the review. So generally speaking, you will log out, you can log back in, and you will be able to now see that when you click on Sally Performance, that it is now at the supervisor employee review discussion stage. So you will just simply, you do need to come in here just as a reminder. You have the ability to print. So we can come in here, hit the report. You won't be able to switch to edit. Don't worry about that. And this is what your report will look like. So you have the ability up here to do a print. You have the up here to be able to put it in a PDF. If you want to, it takes a couple of seconds so for that to come up. Again, this is just a nice way. This is one of the ways that you can share this with your employee if you want to. It will drop it down, as you can see down here. It will drop it into the bottom, into a PDF so that you can actually share it with them if you want to do it that way. If not, you can simply just share your computer screen. You can click on next and move through the process. So you can see how you've rated them. They can see how you rated them. They can see the comments. You will notice that none of this information is editable. So if you do find that during the discussion with your employee, maybe there was something you missed, which happens from time to time, and you want to go in and change your rating, there are a couple of ways that can be done. You do have the ability, there is an item in the toolkit about being able to move an employee back one step in the process. So as long as you're the supervisor, employees do not have the ability to do this. So if you needed to move it back to the rating state, then you would have the ability to be able to move it back one step. If it needed to go back farther than that, then basically the HR will have to do that for you. Natalie, do we have a question?
Yes, we do. So we have the question, how does this work when there are two supervisors who share an employee?
You guys are going to have to get together. Now, I'm going to roll that one back to the HR team because does that, or to you, Steve, does that employee have one position number or does that employee have two different positions? that you both share?
I think in most cases, Kay, this will be an employee that has like a primary and secondary supervisor. We do have one supervisor listed in our system of record. And so that would be the supervisor that has ownership over the review and would be able to act as the supervisor. So if there are multiple supervisors, there would need to be some collaboration with entering comments and making sure both are captured within the one review. Okay, we can move on, Kay.
Okay, and so very easy to do if we were back on that step, you know, and if Steve, you want to make a comment, your comment, it's going to show up as your comment in here, your name will appear. But if the secondary supervisor also wanted to add something above and beyond that, you could just put their name and then type in whatever their comment is, so that the employee could see that both supervisors actually made a comment on this item. And the same thing going through this. So you're going to go through all of the various ratings with everything, with everybody. You can see your comments that you made here. You can see the overall rating of the employee here. And then you have the ability to move it on to the next step. So that is, you can see here that it's now going to the employee. So we're going to come out of, and when that happens, you as a manager always have the ability to see where your reviews are in the process. And so you can clearly click on that employee's name and know where it's at. So I'm going to log out here as our manager. The employee will not see that. The employee will get their email, they will have their link, they will log back in, and it will say, it will be entitled Employee Acknowledgement. And this is where they will come to. They'll come to my performance review, just like you, if you're an employee. Deadline for this item. And they can now view the ratings, view your comments, but they cannot edit anything here. Same with on the competencies, they can view everything, but not rate them.
And just to make note that during this part of the review, if your employee needs assistance with logging into the system and being able to navigate through this portion, you can certainly help them with that and do this, you know, side by side if they want to acknowledge it right after you've completed the review together. You can certainly do that as well.
This is their overall rating tab. And again, we're pretty much close to the end of this process. And so did we miss this step? Oh, so now the employee's done their review, and the final step is going to come back to you. We'll come back in. And mouse is in. Come on, there we go. . just so you know, you won't experience this kind of site slowness when you're in your live site. This is a test site, and the more we add, the more that a little bit longer it takes. It's a training site. So, all right, so let's come back in as supervisor and make all of our final moves here. So again, you're going to come in to Sally. You'll see that it is your final acknowledgement step. Again, there's nothing that you need to do on this step, so they can't change anything. So you can basically, once you're actually in this step, you can actually move right to the next steps tab. But they did want to be able to give you that opportunity to make sure that was feedback I heard Deb say from the previous year. So you'll be able to see the employee's final comment. You are also able to see your comments. You can add additional comments in here if you need to, keeping in mind that the only way the employee would be able to see those additional comments is once it's complete. They would go in and have to view their review. It does not go back to the employee at this point. And then you will notice that your next step is the evaluation complete. So once you click on go to next step, then it will actually move it into that, and you will not be able to return from that step. So if you as a supervisor want to look at your reviews once they are completed, then you will come up to my team and you will click on performance reviews. Just as my slide showed, you will be brought to this screen. Now this screen basically shows current. The status says current. So these are reviews that are in process somewhere along the way. So you can also work on them from here, but you will simply click on complete and hit search. Once you do that, you're going to see all the reviews that are complete, and you will be able to view Sally's review from here. Again, this is what it looks like. You can scroll all the way down to it if you need to, and again, if you want to print it out, and you will see the overall ratings and any comments. And you will notice, so it's a little odd, but your final comments actually appear at the top of the page. And I think in most cases, the reason why they do that is because most employees are interested in what those final comments are. So let's have them appear first in the process, and then everything else will follow. So just so that you're aware of that. And we will click out here. And then if I come back in now, so that you understand, in case your employees want to see their final document, we'll come back in as Sally here. Not Charlie. And they will go to the About Me and click on Performance Reviews. They will no longer be able to see the review under the My Performance Review widget. That's that little green bar. So you will come in here and you will look at items that are complete. You can see Sally is like all over the place. She has all kinds of jobs. And they will click on I want to and view the report. And it will look exactly, there will be no difference in what you as the supervisor's view is and what the employee's view is. And they have the same ability. They can print it out if they would prefer to do it that way. Okay. And that brings us to the end of the session.